As soon as I see a woman up in her mind, she's disassociated from her womb and her body. That's the first sign. That's how I knew. Yeah. And they tend to say, look, I'm really achy, my back's hurting. And I'm like, that's because you're out of your body and you're just living from your mind. So then that's most busy mums because we're not taking that time to come back down into our bodies. We're not taking the time to honor that we actually have this really powerful cup called a womb.
Welcome to Deeper Threads, a podcast where we explore what lies beneath the surface, both in ourselves and in the world. I'm Lara Charles, author of Joy Regardless. Alongside wise and inspiring guests, we talk about life's big questions, the inner landscapes we often ignore, the outdated scripts we've inherited, and what they're costing us, all for one purpose, to help us remember who we are. Let's jump in. A few years ago, I went to see today's guest for what I thought would be a massage, but what I received was something much more profound. Jade Stewart is a holistic massage therapist, women's health consultant, Ayurvedic practitioner, and wellness consultant, among many other things, as you will come to learn. She is the founder of Aurora Holistic Health and has been helping and healing people for more than 22 years. Jade did give me a massage, but instead of a typical shoulder treatment, she went straight to my womb, the place that had experienced so much love growing our 4 babies, but also had experienced quite a bit of unprocessed trauma. Today's conversation focuses on womb healing, but really it's about the womb as a symbol for something that needs healing in all of us, no matter our gender, and that's our connection to the sacred feminine. Now, that can be a bit of a loaded and vague term for many of us, myself included. As you've probably gathered if you've been listening to Deeper Threads or you've read my book, I like things to be quite concrete. So phrases like the divine feminine or cosmic mother, they didn't mean much to me because my mind couldn't grasp what they meant. But what I love about Jade's work is that she brings it right back to the body. By simply healing the womb, meaning bringing love to it through touch, massage, or presence, we begin to heal our connection to the sacred feminine within us. Because when you think about the mechanics of a womb, it really is symbolic of what the feminine offers us. The womb is this unseen force of ultimate creativity, creation itself. It fuels life. It is life. It's where love lives. It's where power resides. And it's not as though that energy only exists when there is a fertilized egg. The feminine is the energy of creation, power, and love that is available to us at any time. And even if you don't have a womb, everyone listening came from one. And I think if we came from it, then we are it. We are literally created from the feminine, so how could we ever be separate from it? So I really do thank Jade for helping me understand the feminine within me by guiding me back to my womb. And my hope is that this episode does the same for you. Now, this conversation is a little more casual and candid than usual. We filmed it together in Jade's beautiful treatment space, so it may feel like you're listening in on 2 friends chatting about the big stuff. And honestly, that's exactly what it is. I hope you enjoy this chat. If you do, please share it with anyone you think would resonate with exploring the deeper threads of life. And subscribe over at laracharles.substack.com for more conversations and reflections. The link is in the show notes. Here we are on beautiful Darkinshire country, and I'm with Jade Stewart in her beautiful healing space that she's created called Aurora Holistic Health. And she offers and has been doing so for 20 years, isn't it?
22 years.
22 years.
Master number.
So healing of the mind, body, and soul in various healing arts, which we'll get into in a sec. But before we do, I really just needed to touch on Jade's bio and the incredible depth of your training and your qualifications and the healing arts that you've studied. It just blows my mind. I've never met a more qualified person.
Oh, thank you.
You have studied. You've gone from the Central Coast. You've been to Glastonbury, London, France to study the Magdalene, Egypt, India to study the Ayurvedic science, the US. Where
everywhere from north to south, east to west. It's incredible. And you've studied a whole range of healing arts across many, many lineages. So I wanted to start with asking you, what led you on that seeking path, and how has all those diverse lineages shaped you, not just as a healer, but as a person?
Oh, it's very, very simple question to answer. For me, it was 10 years in, and just seeing the lack of feminine and the lack of understanding of the feminine from an energy perspective down to a biological level. So understanding women's cycles, understanding her epigenetics, understanding her lineages, but not just for women, just in general, just not feeling the feminine in our culture. So instead of, I was taught very young from my teachers is if there's something lacking, go find it. Instead of focusing on the lack, go find what you need to find. So that's what took me on the path.
Yeah.
And I knew that the first step would have to be to go to our lineage, which was straight back to the UK, which is what I did. So the very first trip after that calling, first it was Hawaii, and that's when that awakening happened. Just like, I got to go deeper.
Yeah.
I did a 21-day mistress school in Hawaii, and then I knew I had to study the path. Magdalene actually came to me. So I was in a pentagram grid, which is the ultimate feminine grid because it's Venus, and she came to me. I didn't even know who Magdalene was at that time. And she said to me, you need to go. So she showed me all of the south of France. She showed me the Middle East. She showed me the UK. And I had no idea that was exactly what I went and did next. I always knew Egypt was on the list. I'd already been to Egypt just after I turned 20.
It's incredible. I want to, my actual last question for you, and maybe we could even do it now because we're touching on it. This podcast is called Deeper Threads. And for me, the reason I started it is because there are many deeper threads in my book, and I wanted a way to bring out those threads more into the light and speak about them. So the podcast was one of the ways of doing that. I wanted to introduce my community to the amazing people I've met along the way. So in all the different lineages that you've studied, all the different healing arts, is there a deeper thread? Is there a common thread that is universal?
Absolutely, the cosmic mother.
Cosmic mother. So what is that?
That's the pulsation of life. That's what I realized I was looking for. And it's in absolutely every lineage, from the south of France to the UK to Egypt to the Middle East. Everywhere I went, whenever I dived into the feminine teachings, it was the pulsation of life. That absolute power that resides in the feminine, the ultimate power, that frequency is what the deeper thread I found. It didn't matter which lineage. As soon as you went into the Gnostics or the deeper spiritual understanding of any lineage, and then we take it down to a biochem level, it's in every cell, the explosion of life. And that's the Shakti.
So what I am just coming into understanding this now for myself, and my book did touch on it at the end. For those who have read it and those who haven't read it, you'll see kind of my progression to kind of going, actually, what I was looking for, this is it the whole time.
Yeah.
And I couldn't articulate that for so long. So what is the sacred feminine? What is that?
I'd say it's the mysteries that are unknown that need to be known. Okay. That's what I would say the sacred feminine is. It's the mysteries of life itself. Yeah. Because we keep putting it back into the feminine body, but then that disassociates men. Yeah. So because I work with both men and women, I try to, like, obviously when I'm doing wound work, we're more focusing in on the feminine thread. But I feel like we need to, when we're talking about the sacred feminine, is include the masculine. Otherwise, we're just going to have further separation. The whole purpose of this time that we're in Kali Yuga is to purify this separation, to bring in unity. And that's the unity with everything in the universe. So I would say the sacred feminine is the mysteries that have had to be hidden for safety reasons, to keep them sacred. But like when you go to places like India, it's more accessible and open because it's alive everywhere. So then it's still sacred, but it's not secret. So in our lineages, I'd say it's the sacred feminine is the secret mysteries of the feminine that's hidden. But in lineages like in India, Ayurveda, all the Vedic sciences, I would say the sacred feminine is that deep connection to the cosmic mother and the teachings that come down that line.
And it's been hidden. I mean, we don't have to get into the politics of it now, but it's been hidden from because of various political and cultural and patriarchal forces.
And religious reasons.
Yeah.
So
and maybe that's a whole other episode, but we
can have that conversation another day.
Yes.
But as you know, I'm very passionate about, like, we can't go fighting up against those forces. We're better off staying in what we can do, and which is like embody the sacred feminine teachings, also enlivening them in ourselves and in our lives. And my gurus teach that. They're like, be observant of the dark. Don't dance in the dark, dance in the light. Bring the frequency through. There's so much more power spending time in the frequency of the feminine than there is trying to break down the dark.
And one of the things that I love about you, and perhaps this is because of your depth of knowledge and your connection with the feminine, is you never try and fix anyone. What you're about is actually awakening or helping us remember what's already within. So was there a moment on your journey, and perhaps when you came to reclaim the feminine within yourself, when you were like, I'm not here to fix anyone, I'm here to help people remember? So when did you know that was your purpose?
Okay, you ready for this?
Let's make sure I'm still recording. Hang on. Are we still going? Yeah, good.
Okay, so I don't talk about this public very often. I actually never forgot. So for me, it wasn't a remembrance when I was coming in to study the sacred feminine. It was more like, what's going on? Why doesn't everybody else remember this? Okay, I've got to get some more knowledge to be able to pass that on. Because I was 6 years old and said to my mum, we're walking along to Edelong Primary School.
Edelong. We're on the Central Coast, by the way. I did mention that at the beginning.
And this is
Edelong.
This is so hilarious. I said to her, my poor mother had no idea what she birthed.
Hi, Mum.
I said to her, Mum, we did Bible studies, but why don't they talk about the women that were in the Bible?
Yeah.
So I already had a remembrance. She's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, and that
women?
was in the 80s.
Yeah.
And no one knew Mary Magdalene was a prostitute. So
and I didn't even know that. All I knew was like, I remember very, very, very clearly saying to her, why don't they talk about the women? Like there's women in the Bible. A 6-year-old knows that, because also at that time, they didn't really know so much about Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene from that perspective. Mother Mary was still virginized, so in the Catholic sense. And really in our culture, we're more Christian, so Mother Mary wasn't talked about. So this was really rare for a 6-year-old on the Central Coast to be talking about this.
The rest of us were just at the beach.
So for me, and I remember even having memories back about being 3 and seeing the other realm. I could see the other realm. So I never, for me, and I've never spoken about this public ever, so this is the first time, it was never an awakening for me. I remembered, I wanted to enliven. And that's what I'd probably say with the feminine. What we do is there's an awakening, boom, an awakening to what's already within inside. Then there's a remembrance that comes. Oh, I remember my lineage. I remember my sacred feminine. Or for someone like me, it's like, all right, I remember this. I want to enliven it. How do I keep enlivening the feminine more in my life?
Yeah, so that led you to the training, to the setting up this practice.
Yeah.
And ongoing on it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, great.
Absolutely.
Well, I wanted to dive into one of the specifics of you offer many healing arms, but one that's personal to me. So the first time I came to you, it was actually the second. I saw you many years before, but the second time, which felt like the first time because it'd been years, I just moved countries, and the chaos of unpacking, packing, and I was just so sore. And I just saying to my friend April, I just need a massage. And she was like, oh, you've got to go see Jade. And I was like, Jade, that's right. So I really just wanted a back massage. And I came in, and Jade didn't even touch my back. And the reason I wanted to bring this up, she went straight to my womb. And in my head, I'm like, oh my God, I just want a back massage. But after the session, I just felt this immense relief. And I wanted to really touch on this womb aspect because there's many mums in the Deeper Threads community.
Yes.
There's also many great blokes, great men. And this is really important for the men as well to understand the women in our lives and what's happening for us in this space. And my womb had been through so much. It has fueled the transformation of our babies, but there was also quite a bit of trauma. I had 2 very traumatic births, and I had a lot of post-pregnancy complications with the twins because I was just like a human beach ball. I was so big. So you went straight to my womb, and I remember you saying, and I didn't know you very well at all, and you were just like, no, you were like, this is as hard as a rock. Has this not been touched? And I didn't even realize that womb healing was a thing. I had never even thought to kind of tend to my womb or heal my womb or even look at it. even though it had been through so much trauma. Also, on the other side of that is I'd been in the chaos of raising 4 kids. I didn't really have, I wasn't even thinking about womb healing. I was just trying to survive each day. So I wanted to ask you, because there'll be many mums here, what is womb healing? Firstly, why did you know within me to go to that space? And then what is womb healing and why is it such a power center?
Okay. So these days I'm lucky because now I get to Ayurvedically read pulse. So I come up and can read if a woman needs this from her therapeutic pulse. So that's what I would do now to know if the woman needs womb healing or Ayurvedic treatment or another session. But what it was what I tend to, before I learned pulse, was I'd see a disassociation in women. They'd be up in their minds. And this is before I was formally trained in Ayurveda. So as soon as I would see that present in the clinic, well, I don't like calling it a clinic in this space, I see a disassociation and they're really up in their mind. And I'm like, as soon as I see a woman up in her mind, she's disassociated from her womb and her body. That's the first sign. That's how I knew. Yeah. And they tend to say, look, I'm really achy, my back's hurting. And I'm like, it's because you're out of your body and you're just living from your mind. So then that's most busy mums because we're not taking that time to come back down into our bodies. We're not taking the time to honor that we actually have this really powerful cup called a womb. And when we're not, going through our cycles and bleeding and giving birth to children, it's a cup, it's an energy. It holds energy, it holds its grounding in ourselves. Okay. So that's how I know the signs without a beautiful pulse reading is I see the disassociation happening. They're up in their minds. Now, what womb healing is this is really, really layered the way I've been trained because I was trained from a Chinese medicine's perspective, but from really powerful kinesis. So really powerful Kundalini yoga teachers that had been trained by Ayurvedic and yoga in India. So this Indian lineage has always been there. So we learn about all the organs because the other thing what you need to understand is all the organs feed into the womb. Because every time we come to our cycle and bleed, we're actually detoxing from the liver, from the kidneys, all of the blood that needs to move out. It's what we call it in Ayurveda, a yagya, a fire ceremony. So every month we purify through this space. So we learn about all the layers of the tissue of how to release it all technically wise down into the womb from a physiological perspective to actually create a physiological release and support that. Then what it is we learn the layers of the energetic components because our womb holds so much of what we go through every day, our relationships, your children, your threads and connections to that. Then it holds all the epigenetics of your mother, your grandmother, all of the lineage lines back. I think they're now saying something like 14 lineages behind you hold.
Wow.
So there's a lot going on in this space.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah.
It's huge. So then that, obviously the passion of that grew was that I learned the TCM way, the Ayurvedic way, the South of France Magdalene way. I learned the Egyptian way when I was in Egypt because I was like, I need to learn this from a healing art, from the healing lineages that were successful in power of feminine. Because again, I come from that. I don't know where that comes from. I've always felt like that. Find what you need. Don't focus on what you don't have. So I learned from the lineages that were very powerful so we could reactivate this really quickly because our lineages from the UK line are more suppressed, so they hold more pain. So I still went and studied those lineages. I still went to the UK. I still studied the pagan ways as well, but I still couldn't find how to actually do the techniques.
So they've been so hidden for hundreds of years.
So hidden and so much pain body in it that I went to the other lineages to actually gain the techniques. So that's what we do. So we work through all the tissues from a physiological, and as you're doing that energetics emotions, everything comes up and releases. And what that is just to bring you back home so you can settle back into the body. The energetic component of that is so women can actually tap back into their own intuition. Because when you're in your body, you hear the universe, you hear the soul. So yes, we're doing all this clearing and healing.
So the womb is like the clearing of the womb and the healing of a womb is really an opening to our own
active soul.
Soul and intuition.
It's bringing the womb, heart, and the third eye back in connection to the universe.
Okay.
So it's bringing all the physiological, energetic aspects back into alignment. So you are literally soulfully listening to the universe.
Yeah. What I love about your work is, like, anyone who's read my book, most of my learning that I did about spirituality and higher self and everything was intellectual.
Yeah. This is
then you bring it back into the body.
And now psychology's caught up. They've actually turned around and said that most healing, anything to do with relationing, is somatic. So through the nervous system and through the body. So I'm so glad that I chose that path, because I nearly myself went to go the intellectual path when I left school to study psychology or law. Because the beautiful thing about this is you actually still have to have an intellectual mind, because you still have to bring it through the intellect. Learning it through the body is like you actually embodying intellectual knowledge, not just thinking about it, because then again you're back up in the mind and you're just here in the mind, in the mind.
Yes. So what does it mean for a woman? And I can speak to what it meant for me in a sec, but in your experience, what does it mean for a woman to reconnect with and remember and bring healing to her womb space? Power.
It's her empowerment process, and not a power by force, unless the Shakti's doing that. The Shakti's the feminine force. Unless that's coming through and creating the force, it's literally re-empower. It's the quickest way to re-empower women. When they feel disempowered, it's like, well, let's bring you back in your body, because then you're going to intuitively feel everything. That's why they disconnected us from our wombs, is because then you're not in your power. But it's actually better for community, your relationships with your kids, your relationships with your family, if you're more anchored in your body.
Well, I've got a list of questions. I'm such a dork. So I did have that as a question. So let's just flow with that. So if women start to remember this power, what shifts can you expect them to see? Let's start with themselves, and then we'll go out to families and then communities. So what shifts, like how they are in everyday life, what shifts can you start to see?
The first thing comes to me, and I feel like energy's coming through. Love. It reconnects us back to love. Brings the love back into a woman's body, brings the love back into her family life, brings the love back into the community, and then you have balance of nature. It's not that complex.
Start with love, firstly, for the self. Because what I found in my experience is that anything that I do for myself ripples out anyway. So
I don't put that on to women, because sometimes I have the opening and they just bang, they're back into line with the universe. So once you're back in line with the universal flow, your soul's back and connected. That means it's for everyone, everything. So I don't like to just individualize, because it can be like, you have to book. So you're like, no, I'm helping myself, and I'm like, over here, so it doesn't work that way. It doesn't. Anything you do for the self, you're doing for the we. Anything you do for the self, you're doing for the all. So always is like that. When a woman goes, I'm doing this for myself, I'm like, probably you're actually doing it for the all. It's always for I and the all. It's never separate. And that's the unification. Because I also don't want them to bring it back into that isolation space, is because then again, we're creating separation again. And that's not how the flow, the universal flows work and Shakti works. It's always, as soon as you do something for yourself, you're doing it for the all. Because you were sitting there, I'm like, I'll let her just keep thinking that she's just doing this for herself. And when she was doing that, she was writing a book. So I'm like, I'll just let her keep thinking she's doing this for herself. But the reality is, it's for the all.
It is eventually. And I think,
you know what you're doing? You're co-creating, babe.
I was co-creating, but I wasn't conscious of that.
No.
Until I was conscious of it. And I think for anyone listening, like, thinking of, I'm doing this for the all might be a bit overwhelming, but it does start with, actually, I'm just healing what needs to be healed within me. But
that's part of the all.
There is a natural ripple out. Correct. Because I never thought I'd write a book, ever. And that was just in parallel with this process of remembering. And
you came home to write your book, because I remember that as clear as day.
You said
touched your womb.
Well, I'd written it, but you said I came home to birth my book. And I was like, Jade didn't know me, and she was like touching my womb saying that. And I was like, oof.
So with the overwhelm, like thinking like you're part of the overwhelm of thinking that you're part of the all is part of that. They don't want us to feel that. So that's why I let women know, no, it's the we, it's the I and the we, is because then you're really coming into your power. You realize, like, every step, everything you do every day, your radiance, you walking into a room, just literally you walking into a room is shifting a room. And it's the same with men. Men are electrical power, like they hold the force, so we can be more fluid and flow. This is the reason why we have those polarity balances. But women need to realize, just even stepping into a space is powerful. Like anywhere, walking into a school, walking into the clinic, anywhere,
supermarket, like your presence with the cashier.
Exactly.
So we become kind of conduits for this
life force,
which is love, compassion, all of it. I mean, I have absolutely noticed that shift. Like, again, I thought it was for myself, but how I show up. Like I speak about things I never thought I'd speak on. I released my whole vulnerable story to the world, things that I never thought I could ever do just a few years prior. And that is from that power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like a light turns on. And what it is your soul turning back on. Your soul remembrance is turning back on, and the awakening's happening, and then the energy's rebuilding to your dharma, your purpose.
Yeah.
You're remembering your purpose, why you actually came here.
So that kind of leads to my next question, because you've worked with literally hundreds of women.
I'm up to 70,000 sessions.
Wow. So that's Central Coast and beyond. So what universal strength or truth do you see awakened when women in particular start to reconnect with their womb and their feminine power?
That it brings us back to the part of the whole. They realize how important they are. They're part of the whole. Like, they're part of birthing the next generation of children. They're part of the community. Like, and they just like a light goes on. They realize their power of dharmic force of why they're here.
Mm-hmm.
And then, everything comes online. Their sensuality comes back on, their sexuality comes back online, their cycles come back in sync, their relationships with their friends are better, the sister wound heals, the respect for themselves and all that around them, their relationship with, I know it sounds cliche, but their relationship with nature, everything just comes alive. So I'd say like reconnecting and reclaiming the womb power is a deep re-enlivening process to your birthright.
Joy Regardless is out now. It's my raw, honest memoir about rediscovering the wholeness that's been hidden in our hearts all along, described as a must-read for any soul searcher. It's available on Amazon and in selected bookstores, and the link is in the show notes.
And would you say reconnecting with the womb is just another term for just you reconnecting with feminine?
Correct. I would tend to say like we're doing a womb wisdom session, which is like doing whatever techniques I need to do for them to actually connect back to the feminine frequency of Shakti force field, or the soma, which is the nectar.
Yeah.
So
which lives in the womb.
It lives in every cell of the woman's body. But because there's been such a disassociation, they're not anchoring in.
Okay.
So what happens with the womb work, it helps you to anchor in to allow everything to relighten up. But if you're disconnected to the womb, you're done, dull down. So it's just like opening the anchoring point. It helps the heart to settle and open, and then the third eye helps to open up more, and then it's just like rebooting the whole system.
And I wanted to just touch on back to those points you're saying, how all the elements of life where we can begin to see subtle shifts. So one of them you mentioned was sisterhood and reconnecting with other women. And what I noticed within myself, I just wanted to explain what this could potentially look like, is things like envy and jealousy, like just float away. Like,
oh yeah, because you realize you've all got your own dharmic path and you're all here to help each other.
Exactly. So it's more you just want to help lift other women up.
Because I find them when women come to me that because I had this knowing of this for such a young age, I don't really experience those feelings because I know everyone has a unique path and we've all got threads to bring together, and we're all meant to just honor each other.
But I think for someone who, like me, who was disconnected from my womb and my feminine, I have observed the shifts. So that's the sisterhood one. Nature. I've always been connected to nature, but just the sheer beauty of it almost moves me to tears now.
Yeah,
just the love.
It's the ultimate unconditional love. Like if Amma, when we're in Pedam, which is my guru, Sri Shakti Amma, she gets us to go out and water or plant trees when you're there. And it's like, it's actually the most profound experience because you remember this is like the most unconditional loving field. If you want to experience unconditional love, go sit in the nature. Because that is like regenerating and pulsing life 24/7, which is actually what we're meant to do as well. So if you want a beautiful reminder how to pulse, how life flows is go sit in nature.
Absolutely.
And feel that.
And I just wanted to touch on your guru just while we're briefly here, is you were selected out of like you're a handful of Westerners that were selected.
It was
and
really
you were one of them.
Yeah, it was really interesting. I couldn't believe that happened this year. There was only 28 of us that got to be directly with Amma, with the Diksha. The Diksha process is when you take the flame of the soul of the divine being on the Guru. And yeah, on the day of proclamation, and plus there was people all over the world, which is so honoring and so humbling. But to actually be with her, to go through that process directly for 14 days, where you were doing hours and endless hours of mantra in the divine feminine and in the universal knowledge, just clearing and clearing and reconnecting, clearing, reconnecting, and the remembering gets stronger. Yes, it was a deep honor. It's 10,000 people there on proclamation day. And there was like 28 of us.
You were one of the 28, which is amazing. And you were kind of gifted to bring this back to lucky people of the Central Coast. Yeah.
And it's been interesting because I've had people contact me from Sydney or like other, like up north, like Queensland, and now everybody wants me to move everywhere.
But it is, and you're very respectful of the lineage.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very respectful.
Yeah, it's an honor to have a lineage that, like, because we're European, to have access to a lineage at the levels that we do that is not about blood, but it's all about remembrance because it's a universal knowledge. And it's just so pure because it's been alive for 20,000 years. It's untouched, and it's enlivened by thousands and thousands and thousands of people every day. So when we tap into that lineage, we get to be in that beautiful collective consciousness. That's what I enjoy. Is I feel it as soon as I start mantra. I feel the love. I feel the universe. I feel all of the sacred feminine reawaken and the feminine just come alive with the deep honor that the masculine, because our mantras always have masculine in there. We have a deep respect for the masculine because the masculine holds the space so we can be Shaktified.
Well, let's touch on that because I think there is a misconception that the sacred masculine and feminine is man and woman.
It's an energy.
But they're energies. Yeah, and I've come to understand that. So how would you describe the sacred feminine energy and how would you describe the sacred masculine energy? And they're energies that live within all of us.
Yeah. Okay, so the sacred masculine is Shiva. So think of the Himalayan mountains. You know the force you feel? Like if you were standing in front of it, it's holding and it's electrical. And you just feel that spinal alignment.
Oh, I feel like I need to sit up. Yeah.
And it's the consciousness. It's all observing consciousness, unbounded field of consciousness is what I described as the divine masculine, where the feminine is that fire Shakti force field, that pulsation of light that comes down from the universe or comes up from the earth or comes alive in us. It's life force and it's expansive and it's pulsing. But there's another element to the feminine. The feminine has another element, which is the soma, the nectar, the honey. It's like that beautiful dripping of honey that just comes in and nourishes the system or nourishes life. So that's how I'd explain the two forces. In our lineages, we just stay in our heart in bhakti, which is devotion, and just allow whatever needs to come through. And I think that's really important. That's why I chose the bhakti lineage in the end to be my devotee line, because I've had access to many lineages to take a devotee process, but I chose this lineage because they're like, stay in the heart, let the universe do its thing. Stay in the heart, let the body do its thing. Stay in the heart, let work with the world. So then we don't separate.
Flowing with life rather than fighting whatever the life.
Because most karma is there to teach you the lessons that you need to of clearing for growth, whatever it is, to bring you back to Dharma. The karmic Dharma. So Dharma is your highest path and purpose.
Potential.
Yeah. So it's pretty much what you're born to do and the pathway you're meant to walk on. And what Amma says to us is what's for you will not go past you.
But I think there'll be many people listening that go, I don't know what my higher purpose is. So
well, this is why we start practice. So we don't necessarily go, we're going to heal. And this is why you touched on that earlier. Really what I do when we're coming into womb wisdom or any session is just coming back to the remembrance and just clearing up the dust. Pretty much. It's like, let's clear off the dust so you're back in your flow. Because when you're in your flow, you're in the flow of life. So we do practice. We look after our bodies.
So what are some of, what are some of those, for people listening who are kind of curious and going, I'm resonating this, I'm actually feeling disconnected from my womb space and my feminine. And it's very normal because we've been conditioned out of that connection. So if this is resonating with you, what could someone just start within their own home?
Meditation. Yeah, finding a meditation practice that actually deep dives in a little bit more into the body and clears the mind, because then you can start to feel yourself. If you find meditation hard, focusing on breath.
Yeah.
So you're coming back in, walking, yoga, baths, going swims for the ocean, and then sitting, being in the sun in the safe hours to do so. So it's just like taking time to slow down and reconnect to the body. But if you wanted to deep dive into really awaken your Dharma, to understand your Dharma, practice is everything. Spiritual practice is everything. That's when you're doing.
So how do you define that? Meditation, mantra?
Yeah, meditation, mantra practice, your yogic practices.
Like finding practitioners like yourself.
I would advise to find a practitioner and a teacher. So then you're moving through the noise quicker to come back to the self. Like, there's a reason why guru means to find a guru or a teacher means to find someone that brings light to the darkness. They're bringing the wisdom through, bringing the wisdom. Yeah. Wisdom alongside practice will get you where you need to go. You can't separate the two. If you didn't have the wisdom, the knowledge, that practice doesn't feel as rich.
Yeah.
Or you don't understand what's going on. And most people that see me will know that most first sessions, I will explain what we're doing. So they have the wisdom. So when they walk away, when they feel things, they'll be like, oh yeah, that's my reconnection. The basics, just reconnect back to natural flow, meditation, contemplation, and connecting to nature, but also like getting back in the body, like sensuality as well, like, because that's another one that's not talked about enough. We can have like strict practices of like doing what we need to do to heal and reconnect to the self, but we also need to remember that even a union with another is going to reawaken things, a safe union with another.
Which is just another thing that has been kind of suppressed out of us.
So like one of the biggest things, like
colonial lineage.
One of the biggest things I do when I am talking to women, I'm always making sure that the shifts and changes are happening with their beloveds. You know this, because I don't want like a woman to turn back all of her on, and then she's got this amazing marriage, and then she's like, I'm gonna go now. I'm gonna go on this path. And like, no, they're part of your Dharma. Like, when we awaken, they awaken. So you work together.
And that's definitely been, I mean, Phil was very brave to
what a dharmic path he chose
with me on this.
He's actually chosen a really big Dharma path.
Yeah, power to you, Phil. I just wanted to touch on what you were saying before, and anyone who's listened to a previous episode with Shika, we did talk about this, and the analogy came to me. She speaks of, she's beautiful knowledge holder, just as you are, and she spoke of coming home to herself as like two wings of a bird, and one wing is the knowledge and one wing is the practice.
Correct.
And you were exactly speaking of the same thing.
When you know a practitioner is embodied, they will talk quite openly about jnana, like wisdom, and they will talk about the importance of practice, and the two are together. You need them. You need them both, because if you're doing practice without the knowledge, you don't really know what you're doing.
So this is part of the knowledge, like this podcast, Jade's knowledge, the practitioners and the people that I've got on this podcast. This is part of the kind of inquiring of the mind, the tuning of the mind. And for me, who I'm very
leading
in
the
my
mind
head,
and the
what I've lived my whole life in my neck up, and what all the knowledge did for me, it actually enabled my mind to let go and it actually adopt it another way. I needed to learn everything.
Safety. I think the wisdom creates the safety of the container, so you know what you're doing with your practice. Because if you can let go. Like, we're not meant to, like, the mind is always going to be there. It's integration. It's integrating the practice and the knowledge together.
Yes. And even the very first episode, you might know Brad Twynham he's the Indigenous.
No, I don't.
Yeah, he's up here in Wamberal. And it's even the same in the Indigenous lineages. So he was talking about walking with the feet on the earth to awaken these other power centers that are not just the mind.
Do you want to hear my first experience with traditional custodians? I got told to sit. If you want womb knowledge from the land, I got told to sit. I sat, and I made sure I sat and really anchored in and felt the earth. And then the next minute, all of my energy centers turned on. My womb started pulsing because I'm connected to the earth. Started pulsing, my heart opened, everything opened up. I could see all of the universe, and then the elders came around me, like in the other realm, the women.
Yeah, beautiful.
But I was on a womb location, and I did do all of the respectful process to step onto that land, because I'm a visitor to that land. I was taught that from 12 years old, to do that on any land that you walk on. Yeah, and then they came to me and they gave me a lot of knowledge of the land and this area. It was quite interesting. But yeah, that's what we got taught too.
Yeah,
just beautiful. Go sit. And
so
that then backs up what I was saying before. If you want to start practices, just go sit out on the land and breathe. Lay on the grass and breathe. It's only The spiritual practice is the refining. It's the refinement process if you want to go through that. But if you want to start basics in your life, just get back in your body and breathe. You'll hear. Your body will talk to you. Your soul will talk to you. The universe will talk to you. The refinement processes are just to get into more advanced spaces and to have advanced knowledge, because if that's what you need to be helping people.
Yeah. And what's also fascinating is, and you would know this through your immense study, is it's actually also neuroscience, like the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere. Like the right hemisphere is what you're talking about. It's that kind of connection to intuition and creativity and all that is, and wholeness. And we're in a kind of a very left hemisphere culture that is intellect and mind. And so we're just all of these is doing is helping us live from how we're designed to be lived.
Absolutely. We're a holistic being.
And that's why I call it holistic health.
Yes. And we're a holistic being, and we need to use all aspects of it. That's why you won't hear separation from me a lot.
Yeah.
And when we go, oh, this is masculine energy or this is feminine, I'm not like, it just is. Because we're meant to come back to a unified field at all times. And we only learn about the separation components just from a knowledge and wisdom perspective. When we're integrating and working with people, we want to work with them as a whole. And we want you to work with yourself as a whole. That's why, like with the womb, I end up doing the whole body by the end of it. That you do feel like the whole body's worked on, because I'm just using the womb to anchor a woman back into her body. But everything else can open back up. But you can open back up from the crown down.
Yeah.
And when they're in, some people feel it from the womb, some feel it from the crown. But the physiological component, I'm just anchoring them back in to their physical body.
So you're bringing someone's awareness out of their heads. Back
integration
into
well, some people are the other way too.
So
you're coming from an intellect perspective, where some women are too in their feeling body and not using their intellect enough. So it can go what we call apana, which is downward, and then it can be prana, which is upward. So it's just depending what they need. Because my feelers needed, I still work from that space, still hold them there, and then let's get your other centers back on. So you're also using your intellect as well. It's got to be all married. And I'm the same. Sometimes I'm like, whoa, I'm so in my body because of the work that I'm like, I just need to, I really enjoy then getting around really high intellect. It's probably why I like my Guyana study so much. Is like I'm getting in and into the intellect aspect.
Okay.
So we always need both. But women can be either or. So it's just bringing them back into balance.
Okay.
And that's like when women are having big feelings, just get back into your body and let that mind process through. I just think if we were out, get yourself out into nature, be more in your body. And if you've got a really good partner, spend more time with your partner and calibrate each other, So have that individual time, but also get back around your partner, but also get around other women. You need both.
Beautiful. And what do you think would change in the world if we if more and more women and men remembered the wholeness of who we are?
Peace.
More peace.
Because we just let each other be, and there'll be more peace, there'll be more honor, there'll be love, unconditional love. And then the ecosystems would naturally work. Everything would work. If we just saw ourselves more whole and complete and saw others as whole and complete, and you'd have the things that we desperately want to experience, which is love, peace, harmony. Well, in Amma's teachings, it would be strength, wisdom, love. That's Amma's teachings. Those three need to be always balanced. And if you think about what we're talking about in the body, that's the same thing. Those three always need to be balanced.
So those three again?
Strength, love, wisdom. And if you think about it, it's the system.
Beautiful. So beautiful. So I'm sure we've touched on this, but what is the deeper thread to life that you wanted to bring to the light? So think about people who probably didn't have your upbringing of being connected from the beginning. What is a deeper thread that you want people to know about, to access, to remember?
There's a few. Higher consciousness. So knowing that you can get access to something beyond you. So there is something beyond you.
Meaning beyond what our thoughts.
Yeah, beyond the thoughts. Love. And
so what do you mean by love?
Love, all-encompassing love. I don't want to complicate it because I don't want to put labels. Love is very, very powerful. That could be divine love. That could be the self-love. That could be love of another. So, and the deep, like eros love with a beloved. The comfortability to be back in the body. I think is really important. All the way from a fertility to a falling pregnant to birthing to sexuality, because That's another massive piece that's just not. If all this comes in line, it's also that's probably another one that is probably spoken about the most. The most topic that's probably spoken about in clinic is relationship.
Yeah.
People think it's the relationship with the self. No, it's generally relationship with the other. And as the relationship with the self rebuilds and they feel better in their body, the relationships with the other. Most people want to experience love and physical love. So yeah, that was almost like top down. Okay, let's reconnect you to here so you feel nice and safe. And then as you come down and back into the body, you're going to feel safe in your body. And then as you feel safe in the body, you feel that love in your body again, you're going to feel that love with others. I think that's my purpose. And giving them tools and techniques when they're not with me to be able to stay with that is probably what my purpose is.
Stay with the love.
Stay with the love in the body and with others. And using the spiritual practices to keep that equilibrium.
And those practices being what we just talked on before.
Yeah, meditation.
Getting out in nature.
Self body work, self massage. We're very big on that in our lineage. So that keeps you in your body, that keeps your body nourished.
Just a bit of love, self-love.
Correct.
Yes.
And
no, it's fast,
yeah. And just making sure that you're healthy and vital to do that. Yeah. So the vitality is everything to be able to do that.
I mean, that's also another kind of piece of the pie, isn't it? And that kind of it's a natural evolution is once you kind of become more embodied, for me anyway, but I wanted to look after my body.
Oh, yeah. So it just becomes a natural state.
Yeah.
It's not that complicated.
It's not. And all these things like coming back into your physical body, meaning like it ripples out to, it's got impacts for sustainability. You want to buy less and eat less. And like it's actually like the solution to many social and environmental problems. It seems so apparent, but it's not.
When we're in balance, our life is in balance and our relationships in balance, the planet would be in balance.
So it's got huge implications for the world, as we touched on. Yeah. So how can people find you? You
can find me on my website, Aurora Holistic Health, my Instagram, Aurora Holistic Health as well. And my phone number and details are there, so you can contact me via that.
Perfect. And I'll put links in the show notes too.
And text me. Just text me. I'm pretty that's the best way to get me. Because obviously I'm pretty busy with people and clients, so the best way is to just contact me that way, and then I can get back to you, of course.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you, Jade.
And this is my beautiful temple here in Arana.
In Arana.
Doesn't feel like we're
It's a lovely space. It's a really beautiful space.
Yeah, I'm very, very blessed to have this.
Well, thank you for sharing. Yeah, I think that the sacred feminine and the cosmic mother, it's such a mystery to so many.
Yeah. And
if we just simply think of it as you've kind of really cemented for me today, if we just think of it as love.
All-encompassing love.
All-encompassing love. And returning to that opens up all aspects of it.
Take every opportunity to love is pretty much what our gurus would say. Even when you're faced in the face of darkness or difficulty, still take the opportunity to find the love. I think the world would change if we went it that way.
Absolutely. And don't we need more love in the world?
Oh my God, yes.
Well, thank you everyone for joining. Yeah.
Bye.
Thanks, Jade. Thanks, everyone.
Jade said a few times in this conversation, if there is something lacking, go find it. And my hunch is that for many of us, our connection to the sacred feminine is what's been missing. And that wasn't an accident. But instead of fighting the forces that tried to suppress the feminine, Jade chooses a different path. She chooses to embody it, to enliven it, to awaken it in herself and every client she meets. And that feels like the kind of resistance the world needs right now. So as Jade urges us, go find the feminine. Find it through your womb, through your body, through your breath, through sitting in nature, through stillness, through meditation, through the two wings of the bird, wisdom and practice, satsang and meditation, as both Jade and Shikha spoke about in a previous episode. And if, like me, you've ever needed a more concrete way to understand the divine masculine and divine feminine, think of those two wings. The masculine is one wing, the doing, the seeking, the searching, the gathering of knowledge. The feminine is the other, the going inward, the breath, the body, the stillness. The feminine is our ability to stop at any given moment and come home to ourselves, to remember the love and power that's within us, to feel the pulse of life running through us and everything. The cosmic mother, as Jade calls it. Jade says the cosmic mother is the deeper thread, found in every lineage she studied, and the very thing she was searching for. Me too. And I reckon it might be what we're all searching for. On that note, I wanted to close with a very short passage from Joy Regardless. It's the moment I realized the Great Mother was the answer to everything I was searching for. It goes like this. It all made perfect sense. The masculine on its own cannot give birth. Simple physiology shows us that. Nothing, not individual wholeness, not global peace, nothing can be born without the feminine. The Great Mother, the vast energy of the feminine inside each human, is waiting for us to stop fearing the unknown. She is waiting for us to be courageous and vulnerable enough to see discomfort as something fundamental to our growth, as the womb that it is. In the dark, something yearns to be reborn. Something that is powerful yet tender, strong without being cruel, patient without disregard, gentle and fierce, the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine in symbiosis. Liberation and integration are intertwined. For me, opening to the sacred feminine awakened the courage to embody the entirety of who I am. Compassionate, strong, nurturing, resolute, honest, deep, light, vulnerable, sensual, fun, of the earth and of the sky, a courageous woman, a peaceful warrior. These parts of me were never frivolous or wrong. Reclaiming what society had silenced became the very path to my wholeness. Turns out I'm allowed to be all of me, and that's all I ever need to feel complete. The Great Black Mother may be misunderstood, but she is not to be feared. She holds the key. And ain't that the truth? So thank you, Jade, for joining me on Deeper Threads and for just reminding us all that we can access that immense power and love inside of us by simply honoring the womb. So this is the last Deeper Threads episode of the year, and I'm so grateful to everyone who has tuned in. They say anything you create is something you're creating for yourself, and I reckon there's some truth in that. I wrote the book so my heart could speak, and I started this podcast so I could keep diving deeper and learning from people who inspire me. And honestly, on the days when I'm stuck in my own head, I listen back to an episode or reread something I've written, not to high-five myself, but because the mind is so good at pulling us away from truth, and it takes knowledge, tools, and practice to return. But as Jade reminded us, anything we do for the self ends up being for the we. So I hope this space has become one of those tools for you the way it has for me. And if it has, please let me know in the Substack comments or on Instagram or Facebook. Your feedback really does help me keep this whole thing going. It's just really nice to know I'm not speaking into some big old internet void on my own. Deeper Threads will be back in March after a short hiatus while the kids are on summer holidays. So I look forward to sharing some more inspiring conversations with you next year. I've already recorded 2 and they are really great. So I just want to give a final heartfelt thanks to all the guests who have sat with me this year. You are all so bloody inspiring and awesome. And thanks again to you for being here and listening. Truly, I am so grateful. Happy holidays, everyone. Wishing you all the health, happiness, all the good stuff that you deserved. Much love. Thanks for listening. If this episode resonated, subscribe over at laracharles.substack.com to ask any questions. The link is in the show notes. My Substack newsletter and this podcast are free because I believe these conversations and reflections should be available to everyone. But I am a one-woman show and any support would be so appreciated. If you are in a position to support my work financially, you can become a paid subscriber over at Substack for just the price of a cup of coffee a month, and you get the audiobook version of my memoir for free as a thank you gift. I'm so grateful to everyone who has already become a paid subscriber. You help me keep this project going. This podcast is also available on Apple or Spotify, and you can follow by clicking the plus or follow button. Deeper Threads is here to help us remember who we are beneath the surface. It's a show for anyone yearning for more meaning. So please share the podcast with your loved ones, because we get to more depth, kindness, and justice, all the good stuff, when we are all willing to dig a little deeper. Thanks so much to you for being here.